That beat-up truck rotting in your neighbor's yard? It might be worth more than their house payment. Right now, while everyone's chasing after the latest electric trucks and shiny new models, there's a hidden gold mine sitting in driveways, barns, and junkyards across America. Trucks that people literally gave away just 5 years ago are now selling for prices that would make your jaw drop. We're talking about increases of 300%, 500%, even 1,000% in some cases. And the crazy part? Most people still think these trucks are worthless junk. Before we dive into these hidden gems, I've got to tell you something that might surprise you. Only 1.5% of people watching this channel are actually subscribed. That's wild, right? If you're enjoying this content and want to help me keep bringing you these money-making insights, hitting that subscribe button really helps with monetization. Plus, you'll be the first to know about the next wave of undervalued vehicles before everyone else catches on. Now, let's talk about why this is happening. The truck market has gone absolutely insane. New trucks are hitting $70,000, $80,000, even $100,000. People are getting priced out, so they're looking backward instead of forward. They want something simple, reliable, and affordable to fix. Something without all the fancy electronics that cost a fortune when they break. But here's where it gets interesting. While everyone knows about the obvious classics like first-gen Broncos and early Chevy pickups, there are trucks flying under the radar that smart money is quietly scooping up. These aren't your typical collector vehicles. They're the trucks people made fun of, the ones that got zero respect, the underdogs that are about to have their moment. Number 15. The 1991 to 1996 Ford Explorer. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. The Explorer isn't even a truck. But hear me out. These things are climbing faster than a mountain goat on Red Bull. 5 years ago, you couldn't give away a clean Explorer. Now, clean examples are hitting $15,000, $20,000, even $25,000 for the Eddie Bauer editions. The reason is simple. The Explorer was America's first real taste of the SUV lifestyle. It's the vehicle that killed the station wagon and started our obsession with sitting up high. Plus, it's got that early 90s boxy design that's becoming super trendy. The two-door sport models are especially hot right now because they're rare and look like a mini Bronco. But here's the kicker. Most people remember the Explorer for the wrong reasons. The tire recall, the rollover issues, all that negative press from the early 2000s. That bad reputation kept prices low for years, while all the good ones got bought up by people who knew what they were looking at. Number 14. The 1988 to 1998 Chevrolet K1500 Suburban. This one's a no-brainer if you think about it. The square-body Suburban is basically a stretched version of the most sought-after pickup trucks in America. Same engine, same transmission, same solid front axle on the early ones. But because it's a family hauler instead of a cool truck, prices stayed reasonable way longer than they should have. A clean square-body Suburban with a 350 V8 and four-wheel drive is now easily worth $20,000 to $30,000. The diesel versions are going for even more because diesel heads are obsessed with the 6.2 and 6.5 Detroit engines. And if you find one with the rare manual transmission, you've basically won the lottery. The thing is, these trucks are huge inside. Like, massive. You can fit 8 people comfortably, or fold down the seats and haul a motorcycle. Try doing that in a modern Tahoe without taking out a second mortgage. Number 13. The 1993 to 1997 Ford Ranger Splash. Most people see the Ranger Splash and think it's just a regular compact pickup with some stickers. They're wrong. Dead wrong. The Splash was Ford's answer to Chevy's 454 SS, and it's finally getting the respect it deserves. These trucks came with the 4.0-liter V6, which was actually a really strong engine. But more importantly, they came with a sport suspension, special wheels, and a two-tone paint job that screams early 90s cool. The best part? Ford only made them for 5 years, so they're way rarer than people think. Clean Splash trucks are now selling for $12,000 to $18,000, which is double what they were worth just 3 years ago. The manual transmission versions are worth even more because, let's be honest, rowing your own gears in a compact truck is just pure fun. Number 12. the 1987 to 1996 Dodge Dakota. The Dakota was the first mid-size pickup truck, and it's been flying under the radar for way too long. While everyone was fighting over Tacomas and Rangers, smart buyers were quietly scooping up clean Dakotas for pennies on the dollar. But here's what makes the Dakota special. You could get it with a V8. Not just any V8, but Chrysler's legendary 318 and 360 small blocks. That made it the most powerful compact truck you could buy. Plus, Dodge offered it in regular cab, extended cab, and even convertible versions. Yes, you read that right. A convertible pickup truck. The convertible Dakotas are now worth serious money, sometimes $25,000 or more for clean examples. But even the regular V8 trucks are climbing fast. A clean Dakota with a 318 and a manual transmission is easily worth $10,000 to $15,000 now. Number 11, the 1982 to 1993 Chevrolet S-10 Blazer. The S-10 Blazer is basically a two-door Tahoe before the Tahoe existed. It's got the same basic bones as the S-10 pickup, but with a removable roof and space for 4 people. And unlike the 4-door Blazer that came later, the 2-door version has that classic, proportioned look that just works. These trucks were everywhere in the 80s and 90s, but most of them got used up and thrown away. Finding a clean one now is getting harder every year. The ones with the 4.3-liter V6 and 4-wheel drive are the most sought after, especially in the higher trim levels like the Tahoe package. Prices have doubled in the last 5 years. A clean S-10 Blazer that you could buy for $5,000 in 2019 is now worth $10,000 to $15,000. The rare manual transmission versions are worth even more. Number 10, the 1983 to 1988 Ford Bronco II. Yeah, I know. The Bronco II gets no love. It's the ugly duckling of the Bronco family, the one everyone forgets about. But that's exactly why it's starting to take off. While everyone's paying $50,000 for a clean early Bronco, you can still get into a decent Bronco II for under $10,000. The thing is, the Bronco II is actually a pretty capable little truck. It's based on the Ranger platform, so parts are cheap and easy to find. It's got solid axles front and rear on the 4-wheel drive versions, and the 2.9-liter V6 is surprisingly peppy. But here's the real reason prices are climbing. The Bronco II has that authentic 80s vibe that you can't fake. It looks like it should be in a John Hughes movie, and that nostalgic appeal is worth money to the right buyer. Number 9, the 1991 to 1990 Ford GMC Syclone and Typhoon. Okay, this one might seem obvious, but hear me out. Yes, everyone knows the Syclone and Typhoon are collectible, but most people think they're way more expensive than they actually are. While clean examples are definitely climbing, you can still find decent ones for $25,000 to $35,000. For that money, you're getting a truck that could outrun a Ferrari Testarossa in a straight line. The turbocharged and intercooled 4.3-liter V6 made 280 horsepower, which doesn't sound like much now but was absolutely wild in 1991. These things could run 0 to 60 in under 5 seconds, making them faster than most sports cars of their era. The Syclone pickup is rarer and worth more, but the Typhoon SUV is the better deal right now. It's got the same drivetrain and performance, but you can actually use it as a family vehicle. Plus, the all-wheel drive system makes it a blast in the snow. Number 8, the 1973 to 1987 Chevrolet K5 Blazer. The full-size K5 Blazer is basically a 2-door Suburban with a removable roof. It's got all the capability of a full-size truck, but with that cool, adventurous vibe that money can't buy in a new vehicle. These trucks were built for serious off-road use, and it shows. They came with solid axles front and rear, big V8 engines, and a transfer case that could handle anything you threw at it. Plus, you could take the roof off for that open-air driving experience. But here's what makes them special. The K5 Blazer represents the last era of truly simple trucks. No computers, no electronics, just pure mechanical goodness that you can fix with basic tools. That simplicity is becoming more valuable every year as modern trucks get more complicated. Clean K5 Blazers are now worth $20,000 to $40,000 depending on the year and condition. The earlier ones with the round headlights are especially sought after. Number 7. The 1978 to 1996 Ford Bronco, full-size. The full-size Bronco is probably the most obvious choice on this list, but it's here for a reason. While everyone knows these trucks are valuable, most people don't realize just how much they've climbed. A decent driver-quality Bronco that sold for $15,000 5 years ago is now worth $25,000 to $35,000. The reason is simple supply and demand. Ford made these trucks for nearly 20 years, but most of them got used up and thrown away. The ones that survived are now in the hands of collectors who aren't selling. That's created a supply shortage that's driving prices through the roof. But here's the thing about Broncos. They're not just valuable because they're old. They're valuable because they're incredibly capable off-road, dead simple to work on, and they look cool doing just about anything. Plus, they're one of the few vehicles that actually looks better with some wear and patina. Number 6. The 1967 to 1972 Chevrolet K5 Blazer. Wait, didn't we already cover the K5 Blazer? No, this is different. The first-generation K5 Blazer, made from 1969 to 1972, is in a completely different league from the later trucks. These early Blazers are now selling for $40,000, $50,000, even $60,000 for clean examples. The reason is rarity. Chevrolet didn't make very many of these first-gen trucks, and most of them got used hard and thrown away. Finding one now is like finding a unicorn. Plus, they've got that perfect early muscle car era styling that just oozes cool. But here's what really makes them special. The early K5 came with some serious engine options, including the 350, 396, and even the legendary 454 big block. A K5 Blazer with a 454 is basically a Chevelle SS that can go anywhere. Number 5. The 1978 to 1979 Ford Bronco. Here's where things get really interesting. The 1978 and 1979 Broncos are the forgotten middle children of the Bronco family. They're too new to be early Broncos and too old to be the square-body trucks that everyone loves. That's kept their prices reasonable while the market sorted itself out. But smart money is starting to notice these trucks. They've got the classic Bronco proportions and capability, but with better creature comforts than the early trucks. Plus, they came with some great engine options, including the 351 Windsor and the 400 V8. The best part? You can still find decent examples for $15,000 to $25,000, which is half what you'd pay for a comparable early or late Bronco. Number 4. The 1988 to 1991 GMC Jimmy S-15. The GMC Jimmy S-15 is basically a Chevy S-10 Blazer with a different grille, but that small difference is worth money to the right buyer. GMC positioned the Jimmy as the more upscale version, so it came with better trim levels and more options. The four-door Jimmy is especially hot right now because it offers something you can't get in a modern vehicle, a compact four-door SUV with real truck capability. It's got solid axles, low-range gearing, and enough ground clearance to go anywhere. But here's the kicker. The Jimmy came with some really cool special editions, like the Gypsy package with its wild graphics and upgraded interior. Those special editions are now worth serious money to collectors who remember them from their youth. Number 3. The 1987 to 1991 Ford Bronco II XLT. We talked about the regular Bronco II earlier, but the XLT version deserves its own mention. The XLT package transformed the basic Bronco II into something that could actually compete with the big boys. It came with a more powerful engine, better suspension, and a much nicer interior. But what makes the XLT special is the styling. Ford gave it a unique grille, special wheels, and two-tone paint that made it look way more expensive than it actually was. Plus, they offered it with some great options like power windows, air conditioning, and even a sunroof. Clean XLT examples are now worth $12,000 to $18,000, which is double what they were worth just 5 years ago. The manual transmission versions are especially valuable because they're so rare. Number 2. The 1983 to 1988 Toyota pickup 4Runner. Okay, this might seem like cheating since everyone knows Toyota trucks are valuable. But here's the thing, most people are focused on the pickup trucks and ignoring the 4Runners. That's a mistake because the early 4Runner is basically a Toyota pickup with a fiberglass cap permanently attached. The first-generation 4Runner is now worth serious money, especially the ones with the removable top. Clean examples are selling for $25,000, $30,000, even $35,000 for the really nice ones. The reason is simple. They're incredibly reliable, surprisingly capable off-road, and they've got that perfect 80s adventure vehicle vibe. But here's what makes them special. The early 4Runner represents the last era of truly simple SUVs. No fancy electronics, no complicated systems, just pure mechanical reliability that you can count on for decades. Number 1. The 1992 to 1996 Ford Bronco. And here we are at number 1. The last generation Ford Bronco is the ultimate truck that people thought was worthless, but is now skyrocketing in value. Just 5 years ago, you could buy a decent 96 Bronco for $8,000 to $12,000. Now, that same truck is worth $25,000 to $35,000. The reason is perfect timing. These trucks represent the end of an era. They were the last full-size Broncos Ford ever made, the last of the simple, honest trucks before everything got complicated with airbags and computers and emissions controls. But here's what really makes them special. The last Broncos are actually the best Broncos Ford ever made. They fixed all the problems from the earlier trucks, added fuel injection for better reliability, and gave them the best interior Ford had ever put in a Bronco. Plus, there's the nostalgia factor. These are the trucks that define the 90s. They were in every action movie, every TV show, every commercial that wanted to show adventure and freedom. That cultural significance is worth money, and it's only going to get more valuable as time goes on. So there you have it. 15 trucks that went from worthless to gold mines in just a few years. The crazy part? This trend isn't slowing down. As new trucks get more expensive and more complicated, people are going to keep looking backward for something simple, reliable, and affordable. The smart money is already moving on to the next wave of undervalued trucks. Vehicles from the late 90s and early 2000s that everyone thinks are too new to be collectible. But that's a story for another video. If you want to see what's next in the collectible truck market, check out the video popping up on your screen right now.